Right here, a moment maker here at Vive City Chapel, here to give you your Vive Weekly. If you're new with us today, we want you to feel at home and know that here at Vive, everyone's welcome, nobody's perfect, and anything's possible. One of the best ways you can get connected with us is to text Vive Guest to 786-321-VIVE. So today, we'll be hosting session 3 for our couples conference. It'll be starting at 2 p.m., so get ready to continue our conversation on dirty talking.
Wait, hold on.
Has it been challenging to create a devotional life for your family? Like every family, a devotional lifestyle can be challenging, but it's not impossible. So on October 24th at 2 p.m., we'll discuss some practical tips on developing a devotional life at home. Please sign up online. It's that time of year. The fall season is in full gear, and we have something special for the kids and those who are young at heart. Enjoy fun games, win prizes, wear your favorite costume, and most of all, get free candy. And parents, you can come in your Sunday's best attire, high heels and suits. Come have a blast with us at Candy Palooza on October 31st at 11:30 a.m. See you there. We will also have a bin in the back for all those who would love to donate some candy for the kids. Stay connected with us online on all social media platforms at Vive City Chapel and by texting Vive News to 786-321-VIVE for regular reminders. Everything we're able to do here at Vive City Chapel is due to your generosity. So thank you for partnering with us each and every week through your financial donations. If you love what we're doing in this community, you definitely have the opportunity to give toward our vision to bring life to everyone, everywhere, every day through the options on the screen. Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, in person, on our website at vivecitychapel.org/give, or even through text. Thank you, Vive fam, and see you next week.
Yes. So once again, so glad that we could gather back into the house of the Lord. Just a quick update on the announcement. So the couples conference is not happening today. It took place last week. But I know all the couples that was there last week is here today, and they're sitting next to each other because of all that took place last week. So we're going to work so that we can be able to do this again next year. If you're dating, engaged, or even married, so that you can be able to attend and really get some good gems and some good tools to engage in some good conversation in your relationship. That's one. Two, we did have the family devotional workshop that was originally scheduled for today. That has been postponed, and I will let you guys know when that will be rescheduled. I do have a praise report that I want to share with you. Some of you may know, may be aware of it, some not. But those of you that are aware, I want to thank you guys for praying and even towards your generosity. So, as you guys know, this building was built in 1972, and since we've arrived here, we've been really just making some renovations to the building, just upgrade, just bringing life back into this building, inside and outside. So this week, we did have our 40-year inspection from the county, and we passed our inspection, all right? I'm excited because from the day that I stepped foot in here, Pastor Rachel has been talking to me. Hey, Pastor, we got to pass inspection. And I thank God that he allowed this to take place over these past few weeks and these years. We have been working diligently to make sure that the building is structurally and electrically fit for people to enter. So you guys are in a safe place. All right? So once again, thank you for all of you for your generosity and even your prayers towards this. The next project that we have right now that we're working on is our roof. We are going to be replacing our roof so that we have a more modern, up-to-date roof that will keep the air on the inside as opposed to pulling all the hot air into here. All right, so please keep that in prayer and also be mindful of that as you are giving. So we are continuing our series on Relationslips. This series, we started this series with Jeremy, who was talking about the importance between you, the church, and your community. And then 2 weeks ago, we had Pastor Sammy who came, and he was talking about how we were created to reflect the image of God. And last week, I was talking primarily to those of you who are dating, in a relationship, don't know what you're in, but you're with somebody, or those of you who are just trying to figure things out, all right? It was primarily to those who are single and dating, but also I believe that as married couples, we could have gleaned some things from that as well, and even be able to provide some advice to those who are dating that are in close proximity to us. Today, we're going to continue that. So if you were not here last week, you want to catch the YouTube, go on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, and you can connect there and catch up and pick up what was missing. All right. So today we're going to continue on, and last week after the message was done, they told me there's something called red flags. I have no clue what. I'm just starting to figure that out. So I think I should have called the message last week red flags. According to my social media team. But I really, really would encourage you guys to take a look at it. Even if you are married, definitely take a look at it, because I believe this has really helped your relationships. So today, we are continuing our series, and I want to title this message, Can You Fill My Tank? Can you fill my tank? Whew. All right. So I've shared this story with you guys before. So when I was in New York, I went out on a date with my girlfriend at the time, not Rebecca. The Lord was working on me. And we went out on this date, and we were heading to the mall, and I realized that my gas tank was close to it being low. Okay, so at this time, I only had $40. I didn't even have a car. The church had a car. My father, he was the pastor, the church had a minivan, so I borrowed the minivan. She didn't know. She didn't care. We were going to the mall. So I had $40, so I said, you know what? I need to get to, yes, the nearest gas station, but the cheapest gas station, okay? Because I have to make the most of the $40 that I have. And so the cheapest gas station with where I lived in New York was in New Jersey, okay? Now, to some of you guys, it may not make sense because you're like, that's two different states, Pastor. Trust me, if you knew where I lived, it would make sense, okay? So to me, the cheapest gas station was in New Jersey. It was about 15 minutes away. So I'm driving to this gas station. We're having a conversation, and as we're driving, the car begins to jerk and stops right in the middle of the road. And so now, the rest of our date night is left me trying to figure out, how am I going to get gas into my gas tank? Who can I call? Where can I get a gas tank? Because I minimized my gas gauge, thinking that I had enough time, thinking that I could actually make it to the gas station. And the truth is, for many of us, we overlook the signs in our relationships. We minimize the size, where our relationship is at, because the truth is, our marriages can run out of gas. Our friendships can run out of gas. Family relationships can run out of gas. So we have to be intentional about putting in the hard work, not the cheap work, but putting in the hard work. When we see it, we get it done. Filling up our love tanks, filling up the love tanks of our spouse or even our friend. Because if you're not constantly investing and working to fill up this relational tank, what tends to happen is that you will try to escape it. And because you try to escape it, stress comes in, embarrassment comes in. Because now you're left with an empty tank on the side of the road. And everyone's passing you by because you decided to not fill up your tank. And some of us, we're thinking, well, Pastor, that sounds like a lot of work. I know you're exactly right. It is a lot of work. But I want to tell you, it's worth the work on the front end and not the embarrassment at the back end. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 23. For some reason, Christians are scared of work. It shows it right here in Scripture. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Any relationship that you want to thrive, that you want to make sure that it's work, is going to require you putting in the hard work. And if you look at your relationships, you realize that this relationship seems poor is because you've invested poorly into it. Poor relationships is due to the result of poor investment. And this is why you've got to understand that every relationship requires work. Not just for you to survive, but for you to thrive in this relationship. Whether it's a parenting relationship, a work relationship, a dating relationship, a friendship, a marriage, they all require work. Why? Because this word love, it's a verb. Love is a verb, and it requires that you show up every day for your partner, every day for this person that you're in a relationship, even when you don't feel like it. Because it's an action word, it never stops moving, it never stops working, it never stops going on behalf of this other person. Love is an action word. Because relationships, they take work. And you've got to put in the work to fill in this love tank, regardless of what season you find yourself in. It's almost like this. What's interesting to me when I first moved to Florida is that before every hurricane season, or before a hurricane comes, everyone goes to the gas station to fill their tanks. Though you're going to be home for the next 2 to 3 days. That makes no sense to me. For people, whenever before they jump on 95, they see traffic, they look at their gas gauge to see, am I at least full? Because you never know with 95 traffic. As scared as Floridians are with rain, even if it's raining, they will go outside and still fill their tank. And the same is true for our relationships. Loving someone else will require that you put in the work, requires that you put in the investment, that you fill in their tank. Because relationships are so much more than just good conversation, good words, but it requires hard work. 1 John 3:18, dear children, let us not merely say that we love each other. Don't just say it. Don't just talk about it. He says, let us show the truth. If you really do love me, if you really do care about me, show it with your actions. So when it comes to our relationships and loving people, words are not enough. But you've actually got to put in the work, put in the investment, show it, live it out, that you really love me. Show it in your marriage. Show it in your friendships. Show it in your dating life. Show it in your parenting style. Show it in your family. Because I really believe our relationships would improve and be more life-giving if we would do more than just talk about it, but really show and demonstrate that I love you, I care for you. This is why I touched on this last week. Chemistry does not make a great marriage. No, chemistry is not enough. It might start it, but it won't keep the engine running. What you need is energy. You got to invest energy. You got to invest time into this. Because if you think about it, when you first fell in love with this person in the beginning, you fell in love with this person because of the level of work that they were willing to invest into this relationship. Your spouse met your need, vice versa, you met your spouse's need, and you guys fell in love. You were willing to work to do what was needed To show them, hey, I got what you want. You need this, I got this. You want that, I got that. You want me to do this, I'll go ahead and do that. You want that? Well, you got to wait after marriage for that, but trust me, I got it. Whatever they wanted, you were willing to give it to them. You were willing to work to make sure that you secure that relationship. And some of us now, you say, Pastor, we just fell out of love. You're thinking that you married the wrong person. You're thinking divorce is the best option for the both of you. And the truth is, that's only because you stopped working on the relationship. You stopped doing the things that you were doing in the beginning of the relationship. You stopped putting in the work. You stopped meeting the needs of the relationship. Now, you could still be meeting the needs of the house, but meeting the needs of the house is not the same as meeting the needs of the person. There's a difference between the two. You've got to invest the same amount of time and energy that you invested in the beginning of the relationship, also in the middle and during it. Now, I want to make sure that we all feel connected to what we're talking about here. If you're single and you hope one day to get married, or maybe you're divorced and you're hoping to get remarried, or maybe even after last week, you're still confused about your relationship, I want you to lean in today. I want you to lean in today and listen, because these principles I'm going to share today is not only for marriage relationships, but for any type of relationship that you find yourself in, okay? Any type of relationship that you find yourself in. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8 says, love never fails. Love never fails. And some of you are thinking, well, with everything that has happened to me, love seems like a failure. Love feels like a failure. But I want to let you know, love may not be able to erase the past, but it will and it can change the future. Because you have a love tank. If someone is filling in that love tank, they'll make you twist. They'll make you shake. They'll make you dance. They'll make you say, I love you again, because they're filling in that need that you have, even though you didn't have those same emotions before. So love may not erase the past, but the future, it could definitely change it. So number one, you need to become a student of your spouse. Become a student of your spouse. Love your spouse by learning their needs. Now, I want to make sure that we all get it. Here, I'm talking about these principles will help in any relationship, okay? So if you don't have a spouse, just replace the word spouse with friends, sister, brother, whatever it is, because these principles will apply to any and every relationship. I may be focusing on the marriage relationship. Last week it was specifically dating, but these principles will apply to any relationship. So if you want to love your spouse or any other person that you want to love and show them, hey, I appreciate you, I care about you, you've got to be willing to study the person. Study how can you meet their needs? How can I be a student of my spouse? And so many of us, we minimize this, we overlook this, and what we tend to do is that we tend to meet other people's needs based off how we want to be met. How can I make you happy? I want to make you happy by seeing what makes me happy. It's almost as if you go to a restaurant and you place an order, hey, I like a pie of pizza. And the waiter says, no, you don't want a pie of pizza. You want chicken fingers and french fries. I'm telling you what I want. And the waiter's telling you, no, you want chicken wings and french fries. That's what's taking place with many of us. Your spouse or your friend or your loved one is telling you, hey, this is how my needs are met. And you're like, no, I want to meet your needs based off how my needs are met. And what tends to happen is this is how our relationships begin to crumble and begin to fall. So you've got to take a step back and begin to reevaluate. How can I meet this person's needs? How can I be a student of this person and learn who they are, learn what they like, learn what they don't like, learn what makes them happy, learn what makes them upset, learn how can I fill their love tank? As a matter of fact, if you really think about it, all of life is really about learning and understanding new things. People who are successful are constantly learning. If you think about our whole life, this is how it's structured. From elementary to college, it's all about learning. You're in the classroom and you're learning. You go home and you're learning by the homework that you're doing. You study for the exam so that you can obtain a degree. And when you finally finish college, you finally finish schooling, you now go into your career. And the first few weeks is filled with on-the-job training, where you're learning specific skills and traits for your job. And some of us, in order for us to stay employed or keep our licenses, you have ongoing training so you can continue to be successful in your career. And even if you ain't got a job, you're still required to learn. You're still in a space where you have to learn because of technology. Technology forces us to learn. I love Apple, but sometimes, I'm challenged with Apple too because Apple's always releasing a new update that I gotta learn. And when you get a new TV, you get a new phone, get a new laptop, you are always in the position and the posture where I have to learn to see how does this function? How can I use this properly? We are always learning. And yet, what is interesting is that when it comes to our relationships, we tend to throw learning out the window. And we wonder why our relationships are not successful. You stop learning about the relationship that you're in. Because in any area of life, if you're going to be successful, you've got to apply yourself to learning. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 14, it says, wise people treasure knowledge. Wise people, those who are wise, they treasure knowledge. You've got to treasure knowledge. You've got to desire knowledge. You've got to be hungry to learn, wanting to learn. And the truth is, you will only study your spouse or be a student of your spouse if you also are willing to give them the grace to change. The grace to change your mind, to change their preferences, to change their style, to change their friend circle, to change their opinions, to change their goals. You've got to give your spouse, you've got to give your friend the grace to change. Because the truth is, some of us, we have an outdated version of who our spouse is. You're still stuck on who you met in 1999. You're still stuck on the 1998 version. And she's trying, honey, baby, it's 2021. There's a new update. There's a new program. There's a new system that's here. You need to get with the program. You're stuck with an outdated version of who I used to be, what I used to like, what I used to do, where I used to be, where I used to hang out with, the friends I used to hang out with. You're stuck with an outdated version of who I am. And for those of us who are married, until you realize and accept the fact that your wedding day was not the final exam, it was not the point where you arrived, no, it was the first day of school. the first day of school, because your wife will change, your husband will change, success will shape the both of you, difficulties will wound the both of you, and life experience will expose the hidden characteristics deep on the inside of you. Things will begin to come out, things will begin to develop. You've got to stay current to who you married. And even those of us who are not in a marriage relationship, you've got to stay current with your friends. Because sooner or later, you will realize that you may have started like this. And because you're still friends with them, they're going off like this. And what tends to happen is that they tend to pull you off along with them because you're not current with who they are now, with their values now, with their principles now. You've got to stay current to who you're in relationship with. My wife and I, we're not the same person who got married in May 2010. No. The way we handle our finances is different. The way we see life is different. The way we love one another is different. The way we talk to one another is different. My personal views towards living in Florida is completely different. We'll leave that for another time. My views on church ministry has changed. I'm a night owl that's forced to wake up in the morning because I chose to have kids. my wife, she's a different person. She was a different person when I met her, a different person when we started dating, a different person when we got married, a different person after our kids were born. And tell you, I thank God that my wife is not the same person that I met. As much as I thank God, she thanks God. I'm not the same person. I may have gained a few pounds here and there, but I ain't the same person. I've changed, I've developed, I've evolved. And one thing I've read is that every relationship, it goes through a major change every 2 to 3 years. So if you've always got to be checking, you've always got to be looking, hey, are you the same person? Hey, do you still like the same things? Hey, do you still do this? Hey, do you still hang out with the same people? Hey, do you still like this? Hey, do you still do that? You've got to be checking because every relationship goes through a major change every 2 to 3 years. Because as individuals, we are constantly evolving, developing, becoming, transforming, and the Holy Spirit that lives on the inside of me is constantly weeding things out, pulling things away, curving and cropping things on the inside of me. I've got to be current with who I'm in relationship with. You've got to be a student of your spouse. You've got to be learning who is it that you are in relationship with, because there's constantly changes that's taking place in their lives. And my wife and I, when we began to realize that there was a drift that was taking place, there was a season where we started to grow apart. Because we were constantly learning each other, being a student of each other, it didn't take us long to realize we got to get to work. I haven't. I gotten comfortable. Since I sealed the bag, I've gotten comfortable. And I wasn't filling your tank like I was filling it before we got married. And so now I got to get back into the position, to the posture, to fill your tank. Often, every day, every week. Because for many of us, you will think just because you're growing apart and because you're becoming two different individuals now than when you first met, for many of us, we automatically think that is reasons for divorce. Not realizing, no, you just haven't been putting in the work. So number one, you got to be a student of your spouse. And once you become a student of your spouse, you're learning who your spouse is. Now you got to shift to the next gear, where you now learn to speak your spouse's language. I got to speak my spouse's language. Because the truth is, knowing our spouse is not enough. Knowing who they are, knowing what they like is not enough. But now I've actually got to speak the language. Knowing the language is cool, but speaking it is another thing. Some of you may have heard the book by Gary Chapman entitled The 5 Love Languages. And this book came out with several different editions, where he has a singles edition, a men edition, children's edition, military, and even workplace. But let's sit up there. All these different editions are out from this book, The 5 Love Languages. But this book, it originated and it started as a book for married couples. Because he realized as a counselor, all of his sessions of counseling married couples, there was a common issue. And the common issue that all of them were facing is that they did not feel loved or appreciated by their spouse. They didn't feel loved or appreciated by the person they were in relationship with. And so he came up with 5 different emotional needs that people are looking for in somebody else, which are now called the 5 love languages. And what's interesting as I was reading this book is that Gary says that he believes that we are all created to speak all 5 love languages. That's interesting, because that means that every need that you need, I've got it. I'm able to produce it. I'm able to serve you. I'm able to be there. I'm able to give it to you. Every need that you need, I've got it, because we all were created for it and to give all 5. But what you will find is that depending on the season that you're in and what's going on in your life in that particular moment, there is a primary and there is a secondary love language. Where though we have all 5, there's a primary and there's a secondary. So as a spouse, as a friend, I focus on the first two. I'm filling your love tank. You feel loved and you feel appreciated when I focus on the first two, the primary and the secondary love language. And the truth is that I've come to realize when you look at marriages and you have conversations and in marriage counseling, if you're not meeting the needs of your spouse in this season, their love language right now, you could be physically together with them in the same house, but emotionally, you're disconnected. And because you're emotionally disconnected, and this is the love language for them right now in this season, it now begins to create room and space for someone now to step in and fill that tank, fill that need. That this season, this is all that it requires. And you begin to wonder why you stop liking this person, why you're irritated by this person, why this person gets on your nerves. Because your love tank is not being filled by this person. It's being filled by somebody else. Philippians chapter 2, verse 4. It says, let each of you look not only to his own interests. It's not about you, it's not about me. It's about the other person. That's what love is about. It's not about you. It's about you meeting the needs of the other person, but also to the interests of others. And if every day you look out to fill your spouse's love language, to make your spouse's love language a focus, to fill their tank, a fractured marriage can be healed. A dying marriage can come alive again. An unhealthy marriage can become healthy again. A bad marriage can become a good marriage. And a good marriage can become a great marriage. But you've got to pick up the gas can and fill their love tank. And you'll begin to see how God will do wonders. Because remember, love may not erase the past, what they did to you, what happened. But love can change the future. So over the last few minutes that we have here, I want to spend here just talking about the 5 love languages. Remember, these principles of the 5 love languages, you can apply them to any relationship. Parent to sibling, friendship, coworker, marriage, any relationship that irritates you, any person that gets on your nerves, this is what you need to apply, all right? Now, I do also want to preface and say this here. There will be a lot of things that I'll be saying. You won't necessarily find it in the book. I don't know if Gary would agree with me, but I feel that, you know, when it comes to these love languages, some of us needs to be challenged because some of us can take it to the extreme. So I want to make sure that we're balanced. Is that good, guys? I want to make sure that we're balanced in this. So if you do feel offended by something I say when it pertains to your love language, speak to your spouse about it or speak to your friend about it, and we'll go from there. All right, so number 1, love with your words. Love with your words. Some of us, we are married to someone whose primary love language is words. And the thing is, some of us don't even realize that your words can change your marriage. Your words can change the relationship that you're a part of. Why? Because words are powerful. Dr. Chapman, he also shares in his book that within this love language, there are different dialects. Different dialects, meaning that there are different ways that you can express your love to this person, that you can share words with this person to make this person feel affirmed. Now, some of the dialects or words that we find contained in this love language to fill another person's love tank, number 1, it's verbal compliments. Verbal compliments. Now, there are some people, they just never get tired of praise, of being complimented, of hearing thank you. Now, they may try to be modest. Oh, no, it's all for the glory of God. Oh, no, it's just, God's just so good in my life. But deep on the inside, their love tank is being filled. They're like, come on, give it to me. Come on, show me how. You saw that? Man, you heard me sing that? Oh, my gosh, keep giving it to me. Mark Twain says, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. And some of you guys are like, wait, Pastor, am I reading that correctly? Because that means that he only needs 6 compliments throughout the year, and his love tank is full. And some of us like, Pastor, that's crazy. Like, you mean you didn't see every single thing I did for you throughout the entire year, and you only said thank you 6 times? Because you're a person, cool, that this is how your love tank is filled. You want to hear that you did a good job, that you're a great friend, that you're a good listener. I was telling London the other day, I said, London, you're the best daughter I ever had. She looked at me, she was like, Daddy, I'm your only daughter. I'm like, can we just like appreciate the moment right here? Like, can you just accept the love I'm showing towards you? Daddy, I'm your only daughter. All right. For instance, when it comes to taking out the trash. Yeah, I know, I went there, yeah. Compliment him when he takes out the trash. Don't just nag him about the trash. No. Don't criticize him when he forgets the trash. Babe, thank you for taking out the trash today. Because this is the truth. If you praise people for the good things that they do, they'll probably keep doing it more often. But when you nag them and you criticize them for when they fail or when they forget, Gary had this, man, I'm so deep in the book. So Gary has this illustration in the book where he said there was a couple who came, and the wife wanted the husband to paint the bedroom. She would keep nagging him, how come you never paint the bedroom? I told you to paint the bedroom. She's like, I've been asking him to paint the bedroom for 9 months. And every time he has a day off, he's always washing the car, waxing the car. And Gary said, stop nagging him about painting the bedroom and compliment him for the car that he's waxing. And 3 weeks later, 3 weeks or a month later, she came back to him. She said, guess what? He painted the bedroom. You don't have to do all of that. What you see, compliment them. Say thank you. And that alone is a drive because praise motivates people to take action. Number 2 is encouraging words. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 11. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Some of you are doing. Encourage, that word encourage, it means to inspire courage, give courage, bring courage. Now, the truth is we all have an area in our lives, or some areas in our lives where we feel insecure. And the truth is, an encouraging word at the right time makes all the difference in the world. Now, I want to make sure we're clear. There's a difference between encouraging someone to do what they want and pressuring them to do what you want. There's a difference between the two. There are 2 different things. Because when you pressure them, what you're doing is that you're draining their love tank. And what they need to hear from you is an encouraging word. Hey, I believe in you. Hey, I'm proud of you. Hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, you know what? Whenever you put your mind to something, you always get it done. You can do this. And another dialect is, number 3 is challenging words. Because the truth is, when it comes to affirming people, it's not always lovey-dovey, soft and fuzzy. Because sometimes there needs to be some strong words. Some words that just sting. Whew. Some words that stings and some words that hit directly home. Because the truth is, when you think about it, love means that we do whatever is best for the other person. And sometimes what's best for this person, it's hard. It's hard to say, it's hard to do, and it's hard to hear. Because love means that you're telling this person the truth when the truth will sometimes, many times, a lot of times, hurt. Proverbs right here, Proverbs 27, verse 6, it says, wounds from a sincere friend, a real friend, are better than all the kisses from an enemy. Wounds from a sincere friend, a real friend, a ride-or-die friend is far better than someone who's always kissing up to you. What he's saying, he's saying, be careful around those people who always just want to flatter you. Be careful around those people who always want to say how good you're doing. Be careful around the people who never says nothing about your character. Be careful around those people, because you will find out that those people will never challenge you, meaning that they will never tell you the truth about who you really are and the truth about yourself. But if they know the truth about you and they're not telling you, the question I have to ask is, who they telling? Who they talking to? Who are they talking to? They have to be talking to somebody else about your truth, about what's really going on with you. But a real friend, a sincere friend, they will tell you the truth, because they understand that the truth will set you free. And they don't want to see you bound. They don't want to see you stuck in that relationship. They don't want you to still keep going through those financial issues, those challenges in life. So they will tell you the truth. They'll tell you the truth out of love. They won't belittle you. They won't do it in a hurtful way. But the real friend tells you the truth out of love, because they understand that if I tell you the truth, it'll set you free, it'll build you, and it'll challenge you. So the next time that you need to confront or to correct a person that you love, stop and ask yourself, how can I challenge this person to grow? How is what I'm going to tell them going to challenge them to grow? Can I say in a loving way where it develops them and it builds them, as opposed to just scolding them for the mistakes and the failures that they've made? Now, my only challenge to the people of this love language is that when people validate what you do, many of these people, they tend to confuse the validation that they receive for what they do to validate who they are as a person. What they tend to do, they tend to tie it to their identity. And the problem with this is that you can get so caught up in what people say or what people don't say that you will find yourself being controlled by everything someone else says. How you live your life, who you talk to, who you don't talk to, how you think, your perspective, how you see things, your behavior. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:21, the tongue has the power of life, but also death. And he says, and those who love it will eat it, because they're yearning for it, they're desiring it. If you haven't realized, people will cripple you. People will cripple you. And you will find yourself at the end of the night, was I validated today? Man, she didn't say nothing to me. Man, you heard what he said about me? And some of us will cause the purpose and the potential that God has placed on the inside of us to never come out, because we have allowed the voices of people to speak louder than what God has put inside of us. Because you're waiting for someone to see it so they can affirm you, so you can continue doing it. As opposed to continue doing it because God has already called you and affirmed you and said that you are mine, you are chosen. Number one. Number two, love with acts of service. Acts of service. Some of us, we are married to someone where for them talk is cheap. I don't care what you have to say. Show me some action. Like the husband can say, I love you 1,000,000 times. And the wife is thinking, big boy, pick up that vacuum and start cleaning. If you love me, start doing some laundry. If you love me, start doing the dishes. If you love me, take out the trash before I even tell you. Don't just tell me, but show me that you love me. I feel like I just heard more women than men. For some of us, if this is how you feel or this is what you're thinking, because acts of service is your love language. Actions speak louder than words to you. Now, when it comes to acts of service, I want to make sure that we understand it has nothing at all to do with gender-specific roles. Anything I've got to do to demonstrate and to show my love to you, I'm willing to do it. Even though culture and society says this is only for men and this is only for women. No, this is the person I love. So I'll pick up a broom. I'll even throw out the trash. Because this is acts of service. Now, if acts of service is how your love tank is filled, and I need you to also understand that love does not make requests. No, love makes requests, but it does not make demands. Love makes requests, but it doesn't make demands. Because when you make demands to a person, you begin to reposition yourself where now you are acting as a parent as opposed to acting as a spouse. You're supposed to be acting as a friend, but no, you're acting as a dictator now. Love makes requests and not demands. Because if you're making demands, this is no longer something that someone can do out of love, but now they're going to do it because they feel forced to do it. And if they do it because they feel forced to do it, eventually they'll resent you later for forcing them to do it when they didn't want to do it in the first place. But when it comes to requests on the other hand is really affirming that this person has a right to accept my requests or deny my requests. Because love is a choice. And I should never demand you to love me. Because if I demand that you love me, then it's not really love. As much as I want you to love me, it stops being love. And now it becomes a task. Because I'm demanding that it's done and you really don't want it to do it. Mark chapter 10, 43 and 45, it says, "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. For even," verse 45, "for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Now, for the person doing the acts of service, I want to raise your awareness so that you understand that, you understand that you're not a slave, but you're a servant. You're not a domestic slave. You're not your spouse's doormat. No, you are a servant. And a servant chooses to serve out of love. A slave feels force. A slave does it out of manipulation and does it out of guilt. Now, you both may be doing the same thing, but the reason behind why you do it is different. The same exact thing you're doing, but my posture, my heart, does it from a place of love. And as a Christ follower, we're all called to be a servant, to give our life to others. Now, this will be challenging for some of us, but it becomes easier when we're willing to push our pride, push our selfishness out the way. I want to tell you, you serve your spouse better. You serve your friends better. Because a servant offers to do it. They look at it as an opportunity. This is something I get to do for someone I care about and for someone I love. I tell you, every morning I wake up, I lift up the sheets, make sure, we're still good. And then I tell my wife, babe, how can I serve you today? What can I do for you today? How can I help you today? And whenever I see that she's overwhelmed, I see that she's stressed out, she's annoyed, she's frustrated, I stop what I'm doing and I run over to her. I say, where can I help? Where can I help? Because for me, I'm always looking and serving as an opportunity of something I get to do for someone I love and someone I care about. Because I don't want to see them stressed. I don't want to see them overwhelmed. I don't want to see them bothered. What can I do to help you? Gary Chapman says, for every task that he does for his wife, if someone asks him what is he doing, he immediately says, I'm making love to my wife. He's cleaning the dishes. What are you doing? I'm making love to my wife. He's washing the car. What are you doing? I'm making love to my wife. He's sweeping the floor. What are you doing? I'm making love to my wife. He's speaking into the atmosphere, speaking by faith, believing that it will come to pass. Because for her, acts of service is what she desires. This is her love language. Now, though you may want to serve this person, the only caution I want to give in this area for certain people is that for some of us, you may see it as an act of service, but for some of us, you may become a people pleaser. A people pleaser because for you, you're looking at this as an opportunity to fulfill your own selfish ambition, where you want to try and see how you can change the perspective of what this person has about you, change the narrative that they have about you, change the negative views that they have about you. It's a selfish desire that you have. So whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. As long as it changes your perspective about me. As long as it removes the negative views that you have about me. And what everyone has says, as long as what I'm doing, it pleases you. You won't think of me the same way, and you'll only see me the way I present myself to you. So when you're serving people, because this is their love language, acts of service, you want to make sure that your heart is in the right place and you're doing it from a place of love, a posture of love. Because you will soon find out that you don't always get your desired outcome when you're serving them. And when you don't get your desired outcome, you become resentful. Because it wasn't about the person, it was about you. Acts of service. Number 3, love with your time. Love with your time. For some people, it's spelled Time. Because quality time fills their love tank. And sadly, there are husbands, there are wives, they're spending quality time, but they're not really. Just because they're in close proximity, they're in the same room, in the same house, they don't realize just because we're spending a quantity of time together, it does not equate to quality of time we're spending together. And in this world, this season, right now, we have to fight to spend quality time with this other person, to remove all the distractions. Technology is pulling on us. Kids, Peyton doesn't respect your marriage. Your job is requesting more of you. There's always something just pulling on you. So you guys don't spend that quality time together. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. It says, making the most of every opportunity. Make the most of it. You have to ask yourself, how can I make the most of my opportunities with my spouse? How can I spend good quality time with this person, with this friend of mine, with this coworker of mine? You see, my wife and I, we realized that date nights don't work for us because we decided to have kids. So what we've decided to do is have day dates. Grab a bite together, grab lunch together, grab breakfast together. Spending time where we turn over our phone and it's just me and her. When we're out in the car, we're out driving on the road, we look to be intentional about having conversations, random conversations, because we want to continue to be a student of each other. Or pull up some questions online. Hey, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this? What's going on here? For us, yeah, I'm going shopping. You want to go? Yeah, let's go. I'm picking up the kids. You want to go? Yeah, let's go. We'll drive to church together. Because for us, every time that we could spend together is quality time for us. Now, even for here, I want to challenge you in this area so you can begin to grow in this area. Because for some of us, we got to understand, for this other person, it's not that they just want to spend time with you, but it's what spending time with you means to them. The value behind us hanging out with each other. Spending time with you, it could mean that you make this person feel safe. Spending time could mean that you make this person feel comfortable to take off their mask. Spending time with this person could mean that they don't have to be fake around you. Spending time with you means that they could laugh, have a good time with you. Spending time with you means that they could be vulnerable, be transparent, be their real selves to you. So when it comes to your relationships, don't just say, my love language is quality time, but actually tell the person, this is what spending time with you means to me. This is why I value our time together. And we could take it a step further. If this is your love language, but there's a person who wants to spend time with you, but you don't want to spend time with them, you've also got to be honest and tell them, this is why I don't want to spend time with you. I don't feel vulnerable. I don't feel free to speak. I don't feel like you really love me. I don't feel like I'm safe around you. So when it comes to quality time, you've got to be able to articulate, what does spending time with you really mean? And when you articulate that, that's when it becomes quality time. Number 4, Love with your touch. There are some people where physical touch is how they express that they love someone. Or this is how someone feels like their love tank is being filled. And the truth is, everyone, I believe, needs to be touched. It's been proven that even babies need to be touched from their beginning stages. That's how they thrive. Babies who are held, hugged, and kissed, they develop a healthier emotional life, it's been said. And those who receive no touch, those babies normally do not survive. They literally die without the touch. Because touch communicates, I love you, without words. Our body is a touching machine. You were made to be touched. Your body craves it. Your spirit craves it. Now, I believe some for more than others. But for some people, one touch, all the hair on their back stand up. It touches their soul, touches their heart. And right now, at this very moment, all the women are thinking, yeah, just hold me. And the guy's thinking, no, let's have sex. For the married folks. And what's interesting is that for many men who assume that physical touch is their primary love language, it's only simply because they have this strong desire for sex. But when you think about it, a male sex drive is more physical than emotional. Because it's not meeting the emotional need for the man. But what's taking place is that there's a physical buildup of sperm cells and fluids that now stimulates to the man's desire for sex. And with the right person, it will become emotional. So in a marriage, physical touch is so much more than just a sexual touch. But it includes a hug. It includes holding hands, a massage, a kiss. As a matter of fact, there was a statistic that was released that says that men who kiss their wives goodbye every morning, they miss less work because of illness. They have fewer car accidents on the way to work. They earn 20 to 30% more, and they live 5 years longer than those who don't. Just by kissing your wife goodbye every morning. Because the reason why they say this is because kissing produces a hormone in our brain that elevates our mood. So man, kiss, 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 and enjoy life. I heard you, Pastor. Now, I also want to include here for those who are not married, because you also need to acknowledge that there are some people in your life who really shouldn't have the access that you give them. They shouldn't have the access that we give to them. Because for many of us, we give them that access because of how they make us feel. We allow sin to compromise our lives for the sake of a touch, for what the touch makes you feel, for what the touch says about you. But we also got to understand that the truth is that there are people, healthy people, that God has placed around you, who they can touch you and will not lead you into sin. They can give you a hug, they could give you a handshake, a pat on the back, they say, hey, I love you, my sister, and you still feel seen, you feel known, you feel appreciated, and not violated. But the challenge comes for those of us who only want that physical touch from that one person who will cause you to sin. And because you only want that touch from that one person who causes you to sin, you miss out on all the healthy people that God has placed around you. Where God says, no, there's some people I've placed around you who can meet that physical touch that you need and still allow you to live a healthy life. So physical touch, so much more than just sexual touch. So much more. But it tells you that you're seen, you're known, and you're appreciated. Number 5, love with gifts. I think I'm doing good in time. Love with gifts. They're laughing at me. Okay, so I'm not doing good in time. All right, guys. You could have at least encouraged me, guys. Love with gifts. Some of us were married and don't realize that your marriage is shriveling up because you're not giving gifts. Now, you used to give gifts when you guys were dating. Man, you gave gifts every week. Whatever you could give, you would give it. And now that you're married, your spouse is no longer receiving the gifts, and they're craving it. They're desiring it. They're wanting more of it because this is their love language. For me, I had to work through this because at first I was like, that's a lot of gifts. Pastor, that's a lot of money. I'm like, you're right. That's a lot of money. But my wife, she had to teach me so I could understand is that it's not so much about the cost of the gift, but it's the thought behind the gift. The fact that you actually took your time, you stopped everything that you were doing, you paused in that moment of time, and you thought about me. You paused in that season, and you're like, I want to show my wife, I want to show my husband who they are to me. So understand, it's not the value of the gift, but it's the value behind the gift, the intention behind the gift, the emotional investment of this gift, the heart behind this gift. Not how much it is, but how much did you invest into it? When I would give my wife a gift, she would look at it and like, oh, where's the card? Where's the card? I'm like, here's a gift. She's like, no, I want to see the card. So when I got her a card, she asked me, wait, you didn't write nothing. You didn't write nothing on the card. Because for her, she wants to see my investment. She wants to see me in this gift I'm giving to her. Which means that for some of us, we have to be careful to not value the gift more than the giver of the gift. Because what that means is that now you become more materialistic. And where's the emotional connection with the person? That's all gone. And for some people, they're so used to receiving gifts, constantly giving gifts. And the moment they hear no, oh, hell breaks loose. Babe, can you wait next week? What? You're breaking their heart. I know you wanted this, but I got you this. What? And for them, they become frustrated, they become angry and annoyed, which means that they're now transitioning this gift that they're looking to receive from you because they're developing more as an entitled person because they don't really care about you as the individual. Demanding that you give me this, which my fear sometimes is that you would look at the gifts that you receive, demanding more of these gifts, that you're receiving more as less of what you need and more of as what you want. Where's the value in that? So you got to ask yourself, what is my intention behind this? 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18, it says, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you who belong to Christ. God's will for you and for me is to be thankful in all circumstances. In all the expensive gifts, in all the cheap, affordable gifts, the immediate gifts you receive, and also the gifts that you have to wait for. Be thankful in all of them. 1 John 3:18, I said before, dear children, let us not merely say that we love each other, but let us show that we love. Proverbs 14:23, all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. So where's your relationship right now? Do you have a poor relationship? Is it because you're not investing? Is it because you're not putting in hard work into it? Have you become a student of your spouse? Are you speaking your spouse's language? Do you even know your primary or secondary love language. Acts of service, words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, physical touch. And last thing I want to leave with you is that when you're loving someone with these gifts, I want you to think about this. If you could write this down. Number one, what are you going to say? How are you going to communicate it? Number two, your actions. How are you going to do it? And number three, what are some things you need to avoid when it comes to these love languages? Let's bow our heads. Gracious Father, all these 5 love languages, thank you that you've given it to us, that you've also even used Dr. Gary Chapman, inspired him, to remind us that we are all different. We all receive love differently. We all give love differently. And I pray that even this morning that we would think of this when it comes to our relationships and the people that we love. How can I love them the way that they want to be loved? And what are some things I need to articulate to this person so that they know how I want to be loved? Holy Spirit, I ask that you would reveal these things. Bring these things to light as we navigate through our relationships and we avoid not just hanging around with people, avoid being lazy, but really investing and working on the relationships that you've given to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Did you guys enjoy that? Did you guys enjoy that? So good. And just as Pastor said, this content, this information isn't just for married people. It's for people that are in relationships across the board. So information without application will bring about no fruit. So as you get this information, one thing that I want to add is Google. Go right online and you could take a free love language assessment. For some of my singles out there, do you know your love language? For some of you guys that are in, really good friendships, work relationships, do you know your love language? Because how can you demand something that you are unaware of? Okay? And then for those who are, who are married, has the love languages changed? Every season will bring different love languages, different needs, different demands. So are you aware of that? So go on Google. That is my challenge to you this week as a church. Because again, we don't want to just have the information. We want to apply it so that we can see the fruits of it. So go on Google tonight, tomorrow, and just pull up, love language assessment. You're going to take do a few questions, and at the end, it will tell you if words of affirmation, if gift giving, if physical touch, if quality time is your love language. It's important that you know that. And once you get that information, share it with those that you're in relationship with so that they can adequately fill your tank instead of both of us being in a relationship that doesn't bring life to neither one of us. Amen? Amen. All right, come on, let's stand up on our feet. I hope you guys enjoy that. For those online, this applies to you too. Go ahead and just take that assessment and find out what your love languages are so that we can have thriving relationships. Amen. Awesome. Don't forget, next Sunday is our Candy Palooza. So we need candy. We do have some boxes in the back that we are accepting donations. Please, please, please bring in some candy. And it's also our Dress to Impress Sunday. So anybody looking forward to Sunday's best? Anybody looking forward to Sunday's best? Listen. Some of y'all are like, finally, this young church with all this hip clothes and sneakers, I just want to put on my Sunday's best. I want to put on my suit and my Sunday dress. Well, this is your Sunday to do that, all right? For those of you at home, do the same thing. Take a picture of yourself and send it to us because we want you to participate with what's happening here on the other side. As you guys know, our vision and mission is to bring life to everyone, everywhere, every day. Anybody going to bring life this week? Anybody gonna bring life this week? Man, we're super excited for that. So on a count of 3, we're gonna shout it out. Amen? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Bring life. We love you guys. Have a blessed week and see you next Sunday.